Welcome to the Develop Leadership Podcast, where we seek to explore the art and the science of developing your leadership capacity. Every month, we want to raise thought-provoking ideas and equip you to be an investor of the influence you carry. If you're ready to journey with us, then it's time to develop.
Welcome back, my fellow learners and leaders. This is Tony Villafane coming at you with another episode of the Develop Leadership Podcast. Today, we are talking about building mission, vision, and values. In the dynamic landscape of organizational leadership, crafting a compelling mission, values, and set of values is more than just a mere exercise of wordsmithing. It's an intricate process that lays the foundation for an organization's identity, purpose, and direction. Through this conversation, we're going to uncover tips to crafting impactful mission and vision statements, identifying authentic core values, and translating these guiding principles into actionable strategies. We'll talk about the difference between mission, vision, and values, why they're all different, and why they're absolutely all needed. A healthy and memorable mission and value breathes life into an organizational soul, while healthy and memorable values are the backbone that give stability. And as we enter into this dialogue, I am thankful to have Bill Gensel joining me today as we unpack this vital conversation for every organization and team. So, Bill, my man, thank you so much for being with me today.
I am glad to be here.
Would you be able to just take a moment and tell me who you are and why you're at this table?
Okay. Name is Bill Gensel, obviously. Basically, my whole career has been based in management. 45 years in the power industry, building power plants across the U.S. and being in the senior management at a company called Toshiba, which some of you may know. Toshiba was the number one supplier of steam turbine generators in the last build-up of the power industry, and I got to lead a team to put most of them in. So
come on.
So yeah.
All right.
And on top of that, of course, having had some great leadership in church and ministry experience, having led Celebrate Recovery for 20 years.
Yeah, wow, that's so. Thank you for the 20 years of being in CR. That's incredible. And you know, whether it was working with Toshiba, whether it's Celebrate Recovery, there's so many reasons why I know that mission, vision, values are important. So let's dive right on in, shall we? What would you say? Why are mission, vision, and values important for an organizational success and direction? And we can kind of talk from a 30,000 foot as we kind of go down here, but like, what would you say? Mission, vision, values, why are they important to the success?
So I would rearrange the order: vision, mission, and values.
Okay.
Simply stated, what I've come up with, the vision is the picture of where you want to go.
Okay.
And mission is how you're going to get there. Mm-hmm. And value is who you are.
That's good.
That's a simple.
Yeah. So let's say that one more time for us.
So vision is the picture of where you want to go.
Yep. Mission
is how you're going to get there.
Yep.
And values is who you are.
All right. That's good.
Simple.
Yeah.
They're deep, but they're simple.
Sure. Oh, no, yeah, right. We're starting off here at 30,000 foot. And so, anything else of why why is it important for an organization's success to have that?
Well, vision and mission both guide a business or a ministry's formation, directions, and operations with a focus towards future goals and anticipated accomplishments. Mm-hmm. It's important that you're looking ahead. Yeah. Okay. And having a clear vision and having, once you understand the vision, the dream, I call it the dream, and then you begin to define the mission of how you're going to achieve that, and then maintaining that vision through the long-term life of the project, whatever it would be.
Okay.
And then values, of course, is a demonstration of who you are, what you believe about people, market, customers, and it's what people will identify with you and feel comfortable dealing with you, whether it's employees or whether it's customers or whether it's suppliers or investors. Right. They know you and they'll feel comfortable.
Right, and so they're gonna see vision, mission, values playing out in small ways and in large ways through your organizations. No, that's really good. Yeah. So what would you say is how do these elements of vision, mission, and values serve as a foundation and a compass for guiding an organization's actions and decisions?
Okay. Well, first of all, they set the long-term direction of your business and ministry, as well as the setup and the steps you will try to take to get there, and also establish the long-term steps of how you maintain and grow the business.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's why they're so important. They also unify the leaders, this is important. They unify the leaders, the supporters, the investors, the employees. So somebody looks at that, they know exactly where you're going, what you're to do, and they want to be part of it.
Yep.
And they also provide the metrics to judge and evaluate the success of your efforts.
Yeah.
So if you'll know if you're on track or not.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So they're the way a measuring stick of like how you know what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing, what you
Yes.
set out to do, so on and
Yes.
so forth. I think it's also interesting. You just mentioned that it unifies your team members, your investors,
Right.
your leadership. Yeah, like it unifies a bunch of different types of people. It's not just
Right.
it's not just your team members. It's the people who are outside of the organization who are investing into the company or buying in or whatever. And I think that's crucial to understand that, again, it's not just for the people who sit around a staff table.
No.
Or it's not just for the ones who are creating social media marketing or like it's for everyone.
All the way to the mailroom.
Yeah, all the way to the
I guess
mailroom.
they still have that today. Yeah. All the way to the
Yeah,
mailroom.
no, but I think that's really helpful to know that this is not. It's an all-inclusive effort
Right.
for people to know the mission, the vision, and the
Yeah.
values. Not just those who are on the team, but those who are outside of the
Right.
team as well.
I just want to add there, I had put a note here, the investors and supporters will know what you're intending to accomplish, your commitment to the return they can expect, returns are important,
Yep.
and also how they can hold you accountable to those goals. You know, your customers will know who you are, what you're committed to, and what they should expect from you, and your employees will know who you are, what they can expect from you, and their participation plan for the organization, their own future.
Yeah.
Which is very critical.
Oh, it is. And accountability is not always a fun word, but it's very needed. Like,
needed,
right? When
yes.
and this is what a mission statement, a vision, it's accountable.
It's accountable.
I mean, I've been thinking about leading my team. Like, what I say is that if it makes sense within the mission and the vision, we're doing it. If
Right.
it doesn't make sense, we're not doing it. Which means I need to be willing to say no to certain things. I
Right.
need to be willing to say yes, and I have to say yes to other things.
Right.
And so it's a level of accountability.
Yes.
So I think that's a word that I think is going to be really crucial in this type of conversation. Not an easy one,
No.
but needed.
Very needed.
for accountability. So speaking of challenges, though, if accountability is one of those, what are some common challenges that teams and organizations face when trying to develop and implement mission, vision, and values?
Okay, my first thought that comes right to the top is to dream uninhibited.
To dream uninhibited.
Yes, yeah.
I like
Oftentimes there's too much reliance on or commitment to the past. You know, well, that's the way we did it before, we'll do it again. The dictates of others that can come in strong, particularly some of your senior leadership. Educational constraints or even tradition that hinder the ability to dream in the fullness. So dreaming is the key, you know. So when you begin to get the feeling, which is the gut level stir of where you want to go, that there's something that can be done and needs to be done, then you need to allow yourself space to see it and to dream. And as you allow yourself the dedicated time to dream and consider, you'll begin to clearly see the need, the possible past, and the people you need to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, and
I love that.
I just add one other thought. As you discuss this with others, like you, the dream begins to firm up and the path forward arises. And as it does, the vision and the accompanying mission, they'll just emerge,
Yeah.
you know?
Wow.
So,
I think that's really, really cool. The idea of dreaming uninhibited and even for that to be one of your first ones
Yeah.
to say
Yeah.
that what challenge is like dreaming. And in one sense, you know, my brain kind of goes to like a student who's sitting in their high school classroom and they're daydreaming, and the teacher tries, calls them out for a question, and they realize that they were not paying attention. And it's not that kind of not that kind of dreaming, but the idea of I am, at least for painting a picture in my own headspace of a mission, vision, values, it's a dream of a preferable future, and it's a pursuit of the ideal and the crazy and the wild, and I love the word uninhibited that you've thrown in there. But to know that is a challenge to live in that dream space, to live in that ideal, because we live in a world that's very unideal, very a lot of the time.
and I'll just say it's essential for the continuation and the future growth of a business to stay there. So allowing the leadership has got to take the time to dream. Industry changes, society changes, situations change, products change, materials change.
Yeah.
And so how do you accommodate all those changes? You do that by spending time dreaming and thinking.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's more than just thought process. It's more of heart. It's as much heart as it is head. Does that make sense?
That's a really good thing to pull out from that. It's just as much heart as it is head. What's another challenge that comes to mind?
The second challenge is the team, finding the right team. Okay, you got to find the right individuals for the first steps and then the ongoing steps. Okay, the team needs to submit to each other, hear each other, and to encourage each other. And experience is certainly important. It is important, but that's not always the number one driver to develop the right team. It's passion, it's heart, it's ability to be accountable, to listen to each other. And as you develop the vision, as you share your vision and you start to develop that vision with people, then you need people who are going to support you in that. I just put a note here because I've run into this too many times in my own career. It's not uncommon to have one individual who will try to dictate direction. Okay, either unintentionally or intentionally, and they can make demands that are dictated by past events or tradition, or time or personality, and this will cause a lot of the other team members to stop, to slow down, to move back. You don't want that. You want to hear every voice. Every voice is critical.
Yes.
So you may have a guy who's more low key and quiet, but you need to hear what he's got, because what's cooking in there is going to be important for the development of the vision. So it's a matter of watching the team, monitoring the team. So developing the right team, that is the second challenge. First stage is helping develop the vision, and second stage, of course, is moving into the operational level.
Well, I think that in saying that the team is a challenge is ironic to say that, because you need team in order to carry the vision and mission. But they also can be the thing that can thwart mission and vision if you don't have the right people on your team, or they don't get the vision or the mission. So there's I can't remember who this is attributed to, but the idea of having the right person on the right seat on the bus, and how teams moving forward need not just have the right people on the bus, but on the right seat on the bus, as you are trying to guide and administer out mission and vision and the values to the team. So that's a really, really good one. Is there another one that comes to mind?
Well, I want to just tie into that. It's important to know people on a broad level and understand who they are, their experience, personality, and gifts.
Oh, for sure.
And I would just want to highlight there are some great tools out there today that I recommend as I work with teams to get engaged in. DISC is important. Myers-Briggs, that's another one.
Absolutely.
Enneagram is a new one that hit the market here a little while ago, and that's pretty positive. And the challenge of people doing those and learning about themselves, but it also helps you as a team member. And the other one I just wanted to, it's a commercial here, is intercultural intelligence, which particularly is important if you're doing international work.
Oh, okay.
That has to do with the various cultures, the world cultures, and how people are adapted to those. And I just happen to have a daughter who teaches that, so
that's great.
Anyway,
well, I think that DISC and Myers-Briggs, Enneagram are all phenomenal tools and resources to be able to use to understand interpersonal team dynamics. What was the other one that you just said that was new to me?
Intercultural intelligence.
Intercultural intelligence. And so these are good. They're not perfect, and they're not. They have their flaws, but yet they are really good tools to help build team camaraderie, unity, understanding, self-awareness, others awareness, etc. And so that's really, really good. Was there another challenge that came to mind?
The third challenge is I just put down here: watch and do so with intention. Watch as the mission begins to unfold. Watch with intention, keenly watch. And things will become revealed, include the smallest and seemingly most random. Sometimes little things will pop up that you catch, and then you're able to adjust and modify and avoid a problem down the road. So to me, that's an important thing. Watch and do so with intention. So you're watching you're watching the ministry unfold, or the mission unfold. You're watching how people interact. You're watching the team dynamics, and you're picking up things as you go, and you're able to make the adjustments that gives you long-term success.
That's good. Awesome. Thanks for unpacking some of those challenges for us. I've heard someone say, multiple someones actually for that matter, that saying that mission and vision are they're like the same thing. And even I've been tempted at times to think, is there really, how big of a difference is there between a mission statement and a vision statement? Do we need two different statements, or whatever it may be? So can you help parse that out for a moment, the differentiation between a mission statement and a vision statement?
Yeah, vision is the why. Why do you want to do it? It's a brief statement on your hopes and your dreams, your future-facing goals and ambitions. It's really, the vision is the distillation of long-term goals and your core values, okay? And it conveys your message to your investors, customers, suppliers, as well as inspires your employees. So it's pretty much, again, if you will, encapsulates the dream. Where are you going? What you're doing? The mission statement is what and how you're going to get there. So how are you going to do it? The mission is the actual application or the establishment of the application of how you're going to accomplish that. So that's why they're two different things.
Yeah.
And I have some I'll share a little later that are in the industry that you'll recognize just listening to what they have to say. And then the value, so the mission statement is the what and how, okay?
Yep.
And it expresses your core values and purpose, but it identifies what you do, how you do it, why you do it, who does it for you, and its target audience is your customers, suppliers, investors, employees. So they all can catch up with the plan going forward.
Yeah, got it.
Make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So the vision is capturing more of the why, and the mission is capturing more of the how, the do of what we're pursuing.
Right.
No, I think those are helpful words to be able to put behind them, because as you're looking, if you're a team leader, if you're trying to craft a team's purpose, the why and the how, I think, are simple words to be able to say, okay, why do I exist? Okay, let me think through that.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we going to exist moving forward? Okay, let me think through that. So I think that those are helpful. So thank you for speaking into that. Okay, so what would you say are some key components that should be included when someone says, "Oh, I'm trying to actually craft the mission"? We said, okay, here's the how and here's the why, but what are some key components that you think should be included in crafting a mission and a vision statement?
Mission statement, yeah, okay. So again, these are short summaries of the overall idea and the plans for any venture, okay? This is what you're going to market with, okay? You're not generally going to, state your mission. You're going to make a mission statement, the broader vision. You're going to come out with something that people can catch. Normally it has to include the verbiage that captures the why, the intent, and the how, and the high level plan to how you're going to do it in the briefest statement possible. And I just wanted to share some of these, which I thought were pretty cool. So here's Tesla. Okay. Their vision is to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electric vehicles. And their mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy.
Okay.
Short and sweet,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
How about Amazon? Their vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company where customers can find and discover anything you want to buy online. And their mission is we strive to offer our customers the lowest possible prices, the best available selection, and the utmost confidence. You can see again, their targets.
Yep.
Okay. TED, TED, right? What's their vision? We believe passionately in the power of ideas to change attitudes, lives, and ultimately the world. And what's their mission? Spread ideas. Short and sweet, but boy, that's powerful.
That is powerful.
Let's see if I can find another one here real quick.
Yeah, those are good.
Let's say Google. The vision is to provide access to the world's information in one click. And their mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and usable. So you can see, again, the dream and how they're going to do it.
Yep.
So, let's see. Intel, just real quick. Oops, sorry about that. Nope, forget that one. Sony, using our unlimited passion for technology, content, and services to deliver groundbreaking new excitement and entertainment as only Sony can. And their mission is a company that inspires and fulfills your curiosity. Okay. There's a cute,
Yeah.
So anyway.
And when you read those, like you read Amazon, you read Sony, you read Google, like what I'm seeing that lived out. Like I'm seeing the vision, I'm seeing the mission that they are striving to achieve. Not Tesla, because I don't own a Tesla, nor will I ever own a Tesla. But I can understand Amazon. I can go in, and the most convenient thing to be able to do is just go in and hit that click buy it now, or Google. You can find any information, or TED Talks, how you can find it, just spread information. I love that, like how simplistic that is. But so the thought maybe that pops into my head is that when you read a mission statement or a vision statement, and can you ask the question, does that make sense? Like, or maybe less of a question, it's more of a statement of like, that just makes sense. That makes sense of who they are and what they do.
What they're doing.
And if we can strive towards statements that someone could look at you and say, wow, that makes sense. And I think you're in the right direction.
Yes.
Relatively.
Yes.
So thank you for taking the time to read some of those statements for us. I think that really does help kind of paint a perspective moving forward. So how would you say, how do you ensure that mission and vision statements reflect organizational's core purpose and aspirations? Let's kind of dig one layer deeper here. How would we ensure that?
Okay, so my thought there was regular reflection. Look, do it on purpose, do it purposely, and review in the beginning when you start up a company or start an enterprise, you're going to want to do that regularly to make sure you're on track, to make sure you're conveying and you're doing what you said to do. But even after a company is established, to have regular reflection, to look at it, check it, okay? Test it to see if others see the picture. Test it.
Yeah.
Go out and look and read your statements and see if somebody connects with it. Watch your activity, what you're doing. Determine if you're adhering to the vision, if the applications are, from the mission are achieving that. And then if you're still on track, awesome, keep going. But sometimes things shift. Sometimes that happens. So you take time to determine why. Some shifts require adjustments to get back on track. Now, you realize the original track is correct.
Yep.
So I got to adjust my organization or my application to get back on mission. But sometimes you're going to learn, there's been an adjustment. There's something new here. And so what I want to do is in this regular reflection, I see it and I go, okay, I'm going to adjust my organization or adjust my application in order to capture the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, those are really good. Another phrase that comes to mind is like the idea of mission drift in a negative way. So you were saying in a positive way, we are kind of adjusting and we're flexing to what we need, but there also is the negative side of mission drift where you are losing purpose or you're losing intentionality. And so yes, we absolutely need to be willing to adapt and to flex in our cultural moments, in our organizational moment, while also we need to be careful that we're not just drifting aimlessly and there's no purpose behind what we're doing. And so, no, I think that those are all really good things that we need to be aware of.
And I say regular reviews with the leadership group are critical, especially in a startup, especially during startup. You really need to be reviewing regularly. I said to myself, said in my reflection here, it should be every quarter at least, okay? Review the activities, review the results, the financial especially, review feedback from customers and employees, discuss discovered gaps, review all this against the vision, and then develop next steps. It's a dynamic approach.
So much easier said than done though, right?
Oh, yes.
Like you just like rattle it off and it's like, oh yeah, like that sounds great.
Right.
But it takes time and
Yes.
effort and energy and meetings and brainstorming and trial and error. Like it takes so much
and
to
it involves people.
Oh, and yeah, I know, right? Wouldn't it be so great if we didn't have to always deal with people? People are beautifully messy, and yet a team. Teams are full of wonderful people, but messy people too. So working through mission and vision with teams does take time, absolutely. Bill, when I think about the whole purpose of this podcast around trying to build the art and science of building influential capacity, there are some art pieces, I'm sure, behind mission, vision, and values. There's some science pieces, like some of this objective truth behind it all, while there's individual personal expression at the art of it. Like, can you speak towards any of that at all when it comes to some of the art and science of this?
Well, so in my mind, the science of business is pretty well defined, okay, both by application and law. So this is how I viewed the question. Once an idea is formed, developing the required infrastructure is pretty straightforward. Okay, from business planning to licensing to financial support and tax reporting. Those are big things, but they're pretty well defined. And today there are many support groups that can help get all this in place and provide ongoing support at reasonable cost. As far as we call it the back office, that's the most intimidating portion. After you get the vision, after you get the mission statement in place, now how do I do it?
Yep.
And particularly, so the back office portion, particularly the legal side, pretty much that's easy peasy today. Quite honestly, I can give you names of 3 organizations that will just knock it right out of the park.
Okay.
And but the art of the business, that's the dream. And that's personal to you and your team. It has priority. The dream is not static, but grows and unfolds with you over time. I always encourage people to review and pursue their dream year by year, to build into their business the new aspects that arise, keeping the evolving dream center place in the business and allow it to modify the vision, ministry, and plan. So the art is that. And putting yourself in a place where you take time to do the dream, but also put yourself around other people in developing similar businesses or developing or enterprises or even just starting up, dreaming.
Yeah.
You know, being around dreamers is really part of that. So for me, that's the art, you know. I hope that answers the question. For me, that's the art of it.
Yeah.
It's, again, the dream. I think the dream is essential. And if you once you get it in place, if you step away, it's over. So anyway.
Well, I think some of the beauty behind an art is that it is so many people can come up with different things, and there is a beauty behind personality drivenness to conviction drivenness, and gives their messiness to that. Yes, absolutely. But there also is a beauty to it.
Absolutely.
And everyone brings something unique and different to the table, and I am able to hear your vision and hear your heart and hear your personality and how that is a beautifully added element to the table and to the team or to the seat on the bus, carrying that analogy through. And so, yes, I think that. And
I would just say the thing that we, of course, learn as believers, how do we honor somebody? You know, how do we honor that person? That person's created in the image of God. He's got some flaws, but he's also got some giftings, some strengths. So how do we honor each other in order to receive?
Yep.
If you feel honored, then you're going to feel comfortable in sharing.
Yep.
And if I'm honored, I'm going to feel comfortable in sharing. And what happens, we find from each other some amazing stuff.
That's good.
It really is. It's discovery. I love the discovery.
Yeah.
When somebody who basically appears to be non-interested, and all of a sudden they put something on the table, and it's like, wow.
Yep.
You know.
Well,
that's fun.
I love it because the dreaming, the discovery, the interactions with people. It's fun.
It's fun.
It can get exciting. Again, it can take a while when you let people truly dump their opinions and truly dump their emotions onto tables and spaces. So there's a carefulness in how you do it.
Right.
But it is super neat and the discovery of it all. So kind of thinking a little bit more about core values for a second. What is the role? What would you say is the role of values? We've kind of already talked about it a little bit, but how they help shape an organization's culture and behavior.
Right.
How would you speak to that?
So I said the values represent you and your beliefs about life and about people and how we all want to treat each other. Fundamentally, that's what it comes down to. Whether the person you're dealing with is your customer, or your employee, or your investor, or your whatever, your supplier. Basically, it's how we want to treat each other. So that should encapsulate every aspect of the community we're going to touch. Okay. Yep. Let's see. So I said, when people feel valued by service or product you provide, they'll quite naturally become loyal to you. They feel secure.
Say that one more time.
So when people feel valued by the service or product you provide, they will quite naturally become loyal to you.
Oh, that's so good.
You know,
that's so true.
And they'll buy from you and sell then sell for you by telling others about what you do. It's just a natural thing, but it all comes from comfort of how people feel. Do they feel valued?
Yep.
You know, so that's important. That's free advertising when they do that.
Yeah.
You know? So treating others well is always a primary tool for success at every level.
Wow.
You know,
that's so simple.
Yes.
And yet, does not happen that often.
No, it does not.
Just treat people with honor and respect.
Right.
And they become your marketing people that for free, even for free, many times. Oh, that's
the other.
Sorry, I just was calling that. Yeah.
Like I said, the other thing is, especially applies to employees. When one of them feels accepted and cared for, they'll give you 110%. That's 10% free, honestly.
Sure.
But when one feels ignored or dishonored in some way, even a small way, they'll typically give less than 100%.
Yeah.
It's just natural. So you want to motivate your employees. You want them to feel like they're part of the team, motivated, that you value them. And what happens, they'll give you, I can speak for my own, my own time at work is some of the things I had to assign people to do, but because they felt appreciated, they did them without even blinking. I sent a guy from Florida to up in Canada in the middle of winter. He left a hot site to a cold site and left without even thinking about it. And he called to tell me, of course, the snow just 8 feet tall. But other than that, he did the job, and he felt like he was part of the team and appreciated. Yeah. And that's important, you know.
Yeah. Just to know how much, and it's such a basic human concept, and yet it runs so deep at the same time. That when I feel valued, I'm going to give 110.
Yeah.
Like when I feel like my boss is communicating with me well, appreciating me, I'm going to I want to show up to work.
Right.
I want to give my best. But if I'm not feeling appreciated,
Right.
I'm not going to want to show up. Again, sounds simplistic, and to know that your values really do shape that behavior. Like, what
Right.
do you value as a team?
Right.
What do you value? Like, almost think about the irreducible minimum of, like, what is it as an organization, as a team of 3 people or a team of 2,000 people?
Right.
Like, what do you value, and how is that driving culture? Or inevitably, it is driving culture and behavior.
Yeah.
And how are we just being intentional with that type of conversation, whether it's a written written set of values or not written down, but it's just the way that we live it out.
Just the way you live it out. And particularly, I'd say, as the organization grows, it's important for the leadership team, and particularly the primary leader, to convey to his leadership team how his employees are to be treated, how people are to be treated. And it makes a big difference. My last note here was presenting and projecting good values is frankly just good business.
Just good business.
Just good business.
And it makes you more likable.
Yeah. And if you're selling a product, it drives your profit.
Yeah,
So,
it's a win-win-win across the board. No, that's so true, so good. Difficult to live out, but so true.
Yes.
So how can an organizations identify the most relevant and authentic core values that align with their mission and values? So we're mission, vision over here, values over here. How are they all brought together in a way that's relevant, authentic, and it just makes sense?
Yeah. Well, I said, frankly, a great place to start is yourself. What do you desire and cherish? What do you really want out of life? And how do you really want to be treated? Start with yourself.
Okay.
How do you want to be treated? Then ask others that you respect and trust and with experience to discuss with them. Okay. What you came up with is what they would want. And I did put in here for those of us who are married, especially include your husband or wife.
Yep.
For they know you best.
Yes.
And I love my wife because she will comment when I need it.
Yes, I bet she does, as does mine.
And so with that basic outline, then review it with the team. Take it up a notch. Take it into the team, and with them develop core values for your enterprise. And so it's a progress through, but it starts with you. What do you see? And as I say, as a believer, we of course have the Word of God, we have the Spirit of God to lead us and to give us the deeper things. But again, focusing on people, and start with me.
Start with you.
Yeah.
I think that's a valuable insight to say is like if I'm going to be leading a team, I need to start with myself first.
Yes, correct.
I can only lead others as far as I've led myself.
Correct.
And I can only lead a team into values as much as I know what I personally value. So I think that you hit on something very relevant and appropriate to say that is that going to cause a pause in me building team values if I don't know my own values first? Is that going to cause a pause? Yes.
Yes.
But is it a needed pause?
Yes.
Yes. And hopefully having a team that's patient with you. Again, hopefully you're not being lazy and you're actively pursuing this type of thing, but are you understanding as an individual? Yes, you work for a team. Yes, you work for an organization. Yes, you work for a business, but you, yourself, what are you passionate about? Right. What are you convicted about? Right. What's your mission? Right. Have you even created your own personal mission statement for your own life of why you exist and how you're going to move forward? Yeah. I think that's a unique exercise that I actually, personally, I recommend for any leader to be able to say, hey, do you have your own personal vision statement, your own personal mission statement of why are you on this earth? Yeah. And can that seem daunting? Yes, absolutely.
And I'll just add one more thing here. It's typical, unfortunately, as success comes into the business or into the enterprise, that you can isolate yourself as a leader and you can basically become prideful. And those things that's directly going to hurt your business. Yeah. Being part of the team, making yourself part of the team is critical.
Yes.
So they feel like they're part, but at the same time you benefit from where they're at.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Integration as you're the leader, but you're part of the team.
Yes.
You're part of the team, but you're also the leader.
Yes.
And it's a dance. It's a delicate dance.
It's a delicate dance, but it's a good dance.
It is. It is a really good one that we need to.
It encourages participation, you know. So.
Okay. No, that's so good. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about strategies for a moment. What strategies would you recommend for someone who says, "Hey, okay, I'm excited, I'm ready, I want to start crafting a vision, a mission, some value statements that are clear and concise and memorable." Clear, concise, and memorable. That's what we're going for here. Right. How would you speak to the individual who's starting to try to do this? Okay,
work. it's going to be work. So
Yep.
I think it's important to understand it. And I recommend using a detailed planning tool
Okay.
that covers all the major phases. Do it every step. I've been working with a young lady who's in the process of starting a small business in Coatesville, and I've been putting her through every step. And it can be tough work, there's no doubt about it. But from the details you develop, step by step by step, you'll develop a detailed plan that covers all the areas and eliminate the surprises. That's the key, is eliminate surprises. So what I mean step by step by step is you're going to look at, of course, the mission and the organization. You're going to look at the market. You're going to look at the even down to the budget and your structure and your suppliers, and you basically go through the step-by-step evaluation of all those things. And there are plenty of, I've provided two for you. There's one I found for online, actually, planning for business, and I put together one also for ministry.
Okay.
But it's their work, and she, of course, has lamented that it's a lot more work than she
sure.
anticipated. But what it does, it allows you to define those areas so there's no surprises. So. And as you work through those steps, as you work through all those, I hope I'm being clear enough, but like for instance, you actually do your vision and mission statement at the end, after you looked at what's the reality of what's going to cost me.
Yep.
Time-wise, what's it going to cost to do this? Who do I need to support me as far as investors? What's my target audience, and how do I reach that target audience?
Yep.
When you get into that level of detail, then what happens? It just firms up.
Yeah, I see
the vision
that.
and the ministry, the vision and the mission. So but it is work. There's no way around it. So I've seen, like I noted here, I've seen many times when individuals scratch out an idea. I watch it on a piece of paper come to me, and they scratch out an idea, and it's rudimentary and preliminary. And you can't operate. You don't want to operate on that. You want to get into the detailed planning.
No, that's
Does that
good.
make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. And you mentioned planning tools. Can someone just like Google search
Yes.
planning tools for building mission, vision, values, and things
Yes.
just pop up
Yes.
or whatever?
Yes.
No, that's good. And but to be able to say, yeah, it takes work. You have to be okay with that.
Yes.
You have to be willing to work through the nitty gritty, and even for you to say that you don't build mission and vision immediately. Like you're asking all these
Right.
top level questions and specific questions in order to get then to the
Right.
type of statements that you want, your ideal that you're trying to
You
achieve.
start with an idea, then you start to define how you accomplish that idea, and you find out as you do, it firms up.
No, that's
the
really
vision
good.
and the mission.
No, that's really, really good. How often, let's just say, okay, I've gone through this whole process. I have identified my mission, my values, and I am feeling great. I'm excited. I'm ready, like, let's go. How often should I come back and potentially review it? Should it be every month? Should it be every 5 years? Should it be never? Should it be what are healthy ways to look at revision, and when is it appropriate to do something like that?
It should be built right into it from the beginning. So when you're going to do a startup, initially, you want to almost review monthly. Because again, your earnings are going to be low, the income is going to be low, you got more expenses, you got to balance that. So you got to take a look at that on a regular basis. But once you're operational, I like to develop what I call the 1-3-5 plan.
Okay.
The one is the year you're in, okay, and how you're going to accomplish. You set budget, you set targets, and you set targets in every area, including your customer base, who you're going to reach out to, okay, how you're going to do that, and with the costs involved in all that, you review that, okay. Did I accomplish those goals in the first year? So you want to define the first year. 3 years the target. That's where you're headed towards. And that should be defined fairly well and fairly detailed. That's your metric. And 5 years is the dream. It's a long-term goal, because you may be building and you might see when I get to a certain point, I can add more. My market's going to expand, my customer base will expand, I'm developing new products or something. So 5 is the dream. So 1-3-5, that's what I like to suggest.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end of every year, of course, you revise, before the end of the first year, you revise it, and you got a new year 1. You have a new year 3, and you also have a new year 5.
Got it, okay.
And you're doing that continually. Build it right into the process, so that, and at every level, not just financial, but also in the organization, the structure, and what you're making. Okay. And to me, I think it's imperative because, again, it allows you to set some long-term goals and some that you can see if you're achieving them.
Yeah.
You know, and but a lot of people, they get started, they get all excited, and they kind of set that aside, and all of a sudden they get smacked in the face with reality. Not good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is it needs to be a very regular thing.
Yes. Intentional and regular. Yes.
And just like you said, for actually building mission, vision, values, it takes work.
Yep.
So upkeep
Yes.
also takes work.
So
Work. Got
Yes.
great. Have that box checked off of understanding. So if that's what we need to do, okay, great. We need to be very intentional. We do need to be willing to revise it. We need to be willing to ask, are we hitting the mark with what our vision is? Here is what's on the ideal on paper, but what in reality is actually happening in real life and in our business and our team, etc. And so those are things that need to be regular types of conversations.
And your management team, however you establish that, they all need to be thinking the same way, looking ahead, evaluating where we are, looking ahead.
Yeah.
And if we're all doing it, you'll find yourself very profitable.
That's good.
And you'll be in for the long term.
That's good.
It helps you eliminate surprises. So.
Well, the idea of mission, vision, value, it's great. It's a phenomenal idea, resource, tool,
Yes.
so on and so forth. But they're merely words on paper,
Right.
or painted on a wall, maybe even,
Right.
or on a canvas in someone's office. How do you know if you're actually achieving success in your mission, your vision, and your values? And are there specific metrics, indicators that can gauge success in these elements?
That's a good question. Well, again, I think it's the regular review, and not just on the financials. Certainly, the financials, are one thing. The planned expansion, how you're doing that, but also you can look at areas like even your employees. Right? Do you have a steady employee base? Do you have in other words, a lot of times you'll see businesses, because of lack of vision or lack of mission or particularly values, their employees are going in and out. You're losing employees and having to hire new. That costs money.
Yep.
Okay. That takes time, training. You're losing experience. That's not beneficial, and I know some companies like that that seem to like to do that. I think it's dumb. So it's evaluating across the entire thing. I don't know if I'm answering the question directly, but
Yeah.
I think again, doing a 1-3-5 evaluation, a regular thing, and that includes your employees, includes your product, includes everything. Looking hard, if they're words on paper, just write a book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just write a book, because. But if it is not if they're not integrated into you and the organization, then you're going to fail. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be part of it. Does that answer?
Yeah. No, it absolutely does. And what it did but didn't, because what I'm hearing you say is there aren't necessarily specific metrics. Is it weird to say? It can be like a vibe, like
Yes.
like a cultural vibe of like,
Yes.
are we hitting
Right.
what we're intending to do? And you can walk into a team and you can tell the vibe is really off, but their values on paper, they're
Yes.
crisp.
Correct.
But the vibe is just off in the room, and there's something that's unhealthy. There's something that's toxic. So in one sense, there isn't specific metrics to this thing. There are indicators like
Yes.
like a vibe,
Right.
and yes, obviously you can look at the paper, and then you can look at what's happening in real time
Right.
and have evaluations and stuff like that. But really, I think it's way more. You get to if you're doing well in this or not. You ask the people.
Yes.
Like you ask the actual teammates,
Right.
from every level of the organization,
Right.
every level of the team. Like, hey, do we think this is being achieved?
Yeah.
Do we have healthy values? Are they being lived out well?
Right.
In order to make them not just words on the page.
The word that comes to mind is satisfaction. Are we as an organization satisfied? I know there's desire and dream to expand, but I'm talking about that inner peace thing, that satisfaction, like we're doing really well.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Yeah.
I love my company. I love my boss. I love the product. What a great product.
Yeah.
My customers are awesome, and they love me. if you will, there's an element of satisfaction. If you're on track with that, again, success is right there.
And there's a level of an accountability that comes with that too, when with your teammates, that you need to be willing to have and to process and sift through. So
that's not always the fun part. To deal with a difficult employee or a difficult manager, or even a difficult customer, but finding out the drivers and then having the guts to go in and press in and do it is key.
Absolutely. Okay, so Bill, I am a young leader who is looking to start up a journey of leadership in my team and crafting mission and vision and values, and I have heard everything that you've just said. What advice would you give to me who is trying to start that journey?
It's a process. And I said new businesses will require an amazing amount of personal time and work. Okay, and it'll impact every phase of your life. Just go in knowing that. So you only undertake this with a full commitment. When it succeeds and becomes successful, then you will see the rewards. More time off, especially, but startups require much sacrifice. Count the cost. We've heard that, quite a bit. We count the cost. And I'm not just speaking about money, it's personal time. But if you pursue the dream you've been given, you have the joy of accomplishing for yourself, your family, your employees, and those you have served. It's well worth it work and the time.
That's so good.
But there's a cost.
A thought that even comes to my mind, knowing that there is a cost, that cost takes time, but the cost, you need to know when to practice a little bit of self-care, maybe. Of like, okay, we're at this meeting, we're at this wordsmithing for 2 hours now. Okay, maybe we need to take a break. And there comes a point in our mental capacity where it kind of just starts going downhill a little bit, and the fresh ideas and the good ideas or whatever, or maybe the more critical spirit starts coming out. So having a space to know that when you gotta count the cost and you gotta put the work in, but you also gotta make sure you're bringing your best selves to the table.
Correct.
And how are you making sure that you're doing that well mentally, psychologically, relationally, et cetera. And
that's where accountability comes in as a team. Okay? I can pick up frustration on somebody else pretty fast, probably faster than I can myself. So having that person say, hey, we need a break, or are you getting frustrated? Yield to each other. And that also makes a big difference.
For sure.
Otherwise, it can get really bad.
Absolutely. And they're delicate processes, especially when you're dealing with, again, convictions. You're putting words on paper that are people's convictions.
Correct.
And when you deal with people's convictions, it can get tricky and messy quickly at times. And so just being careful and conscientious of those things. And so, Bill, we've covered a lot of ground, and in talking about mission and vision and values, I'm sure that there's resources out there that come to mind on how to take some of this stuff further. If someone says, hey, I want to learn more, I want to investigate this further, what would you say is out there that people could go towards?
Most of what I've learned by application, by the doing. So most of mine was learned, if you will, on the job. But there's a few guys out there that I've leaned into. Peter Drucker, who's now passed away, but he was a strong business leader, and he's someone renowned in the business planning. That's one thing I can think of. But there's a lot of materials available. Like I said, business plans are available on site. Anyway, I don't have any other specific than that I can really yield at this point. But,
sure.
But some of the I just wanted to. Peter Drucker, some of his quotes are pretty cool. The best way to predict your future is to create it. That's good, right?
Yeah.
The purpose of information is not knowledge. It's being able to take the right action.
Oh, that's really good.
That's good. Strategy is a commodity. Execution is an art. That's interesting.
Yeah.
The only real difference between one organization and another is the performance of its people.
Yeah.
That's nice. The key to greatness is to look for people's potential and spend time developing it. I love that one.
Yep.
The task of leadership is to create an alignment of strengths so strong that it makes a system's weakness irrelevant. Irrelevant,
Yep.
I said that. Follow effective action with quiet reflection. From the quiet reflection will come even more effective action. Yes. And long-range planning does not deal with future decisions, but with the future of present decisions.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yep.
So Peter Drucker is a good one.
Yeah, this Drucker guy sounds really smart.
he's a smart guy.
I can't say I've heard his name before, but I
Check him out.
I think I might have to look him up,
Yeah.
especially with some really simple yet profound quotes that he has there. So thank you for sharing some of those things. Okay, so as we land the plane of this conversation, mission, vision, values, we're landing this plane. What is any final words of wisdom, insight, caution, maybe, that comes to mind that you would like to give our listeners as we end our time?
Yeah. Well, first of all, things I thought was do it, but do it well. Don't allow yourself to take shortcuts. That's a real temptation. Plan the work in detail, then purposely work the plan. One of my favorite phrases is plan the work, work the plan. Evaluate every mistake and glean the good from it.
That's good.
Okay? And then plan again. And above all, dream. Keep the dream alive and real. And there's great opportunity out there, but it takes works to maximize the success. And when it comes, you and others will indeed celebrate.
Oh.
So.
I love that at the very beginning of our time you talked about dreaming, and you end here with dreaming. And to say the phrase you used earlier was to dream uninhibited, uninhibitedly, and to say there's dreaming to be done.
There's dreaming.
What was the one Drucker quote that said it's about the future, about asking about your future, but just go do it?
Yeah.
What was that again?
The best way to predict your future is to create it. Is that one?
Yeah, to create. Yeah. Uh-huh. And so to create it, dream it up. Just go.
Go.
Are there going to be difficulties? Yes. Are there going to be hurdles? Yes. Are there going to be setbacks? Of course there are.
Yes.
But just go.
Just do it.
Easier said than done, but my goodness, and to dream and to be okay with the process of dreaming through these things. And so, Bill, I think that these are some really good handles in which you have guided us here and sifted through here. And so thank you for being a person who has thought through this stuff, being willing to work with people, as I know that you do. You work alongside many people who crafting through business strategies and ideals and mission and vision and working with churches. And so just thank you for the work and the time and the effort that you've put in, and to be someone that I know I get to learn from. It's a privilege. So just thank you for all that you are and all that you have and what you're willing to bring to the benefit of others and to Jesus. And it's fun. It's fun to watch. So just thank you a lot. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
And if you are enjoying what you're listening to, you're liking what you're hearing, would you be willing to give us a rating or hit the share button wherever you consume the content? And we hope that you will join us next time as we continue to explore the art and science of building influential capacity. Catch you next time.